much more time do you got? Let's try this for 10 minutes. Is that all right?
Me?
Yeah, 10 minutes. Can you hang on?
Yes, I got 10 minutes.
Okay, so it's 3:33 right now. I'm going to try to stop at 3:43. I got to stop myself. This is a story. My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather could fly unaided. He could fly. No wings, no airplane. He could just stand up and fly. He could just fly. Do you believe it?
No.
Good. You shouldn't. Now, what if I told you that there's a creed dating that was written about 10 to 20 years after, saying that my ancestor flew in front of 500 people and then 12, and then lastly to a guy named Paul? Would you believe it then?
No.
Good. Now, we're not throwing that creed away about the flying man. We're keeping it, and we're going to add on to it. What if I told you that there is a prophecy about the man flying, but it doesn't really say the flying man's name, doesn't give all the exact details, but many have interpreted this prophecy as applying to the flying man? Would you believe in the flying man then?
There was a prophecy?
Yeah, there was a prophecy that the man would fly.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't? Okay.
No.
So we have a creed, you wouldn't believe it, and then we add to the creed of a prophecy, and you wouldn't. What if there was 399 more prophecies, but again, there was people interpreted these prophecies differently. They were not detailed because it would take too many books to write about the flying man prophecies. Would you believe it then? That my ancestor actually flew. It was across the Grand Canyon.
Would there be any residual results showing that he did?
We're going to do this one at a time. Right now I'm talking about prophecies. Would you believe it based on...
No.
Okay. So the creed, you wouldn't believe in the flying man. 400 prophecies, you wouldn't believe in the flying man. Okay, what if I told you that there were 4 diaries written about the flying man, written decades after the flying man flew, talking about the life of the flying man, that he flew across the Grand Canyon, that he had 12 friends that followed him around. Now, but all these diaries were written decades after the flying man flew, and it wasn't written in the first person. But they're about 100 years after these diaries were written. There was some early church flying man fathers who said that, so and so wrote this diary, so and so wrote this diary. Would you believe it then?
Some of those diaries were written 15 years later?
Yeah, 15, 20, whatever.
No.
Okay. So you would not believe in the flying man based on 1 Corinthians 15 creed. You would not believe in the flying man based on prophecies like messianic prophecies from the Old Testament. You would not believe in the flying man based on 4 diaries of the flying man flying. You and I are the same. I would not believe it either.
Were any of the contemporaries put to death proclaiming that they saw it?
This will be the last one. How am I doing for time? Good. So the flying man flew, and then he had followers, and it's reported that many of his followers died as martyrs. But most of those reports are recorded 100 years or so after the flying man flew, and it's right along texts that talk about some really other crazy stuff in other gospels that didn't make it into the canon of the flying man. And nowhere does it say that a person who says it with their own hand, their own words, that they died for their belief in the flying man, and that they had a chance to recant that. Hey, I recanted and I lived. No, it never said that. Would you believe in the flying man then?
What was the purpose of this person flying?
What was the purpose?
Yes.
Oh, it was so that people could get closer to God.
How did it accomplish people getting closer to God?
By believing in the flying man. He was the way to salvation.
So did people believe that this guy...
Before we go on, I brought you asked about martyrdom. Would you believe in the Flying Man based on the martyrdom that I laid out, which I believe is the same as Christendom?
No, because it's not attested. It's not attested to a power of a deity.
No, it says in the diaries that when people
You never said that.
Okay, I'll say it now. I forgot to mention in the diaries, the Flying Man said, "When you look at me, you see the Father." Would you believe in the Flying Man now?
No, I don't see any reason for the guy flying to draw people closer to God. What's the reason there?
So
what's the connect?
Salvation.
What's the connect to draw? No, how does it save people?
Because God said so.
Well, no, God doesn't save people because he says so. That's nowhere in the Bible. So
why are you bringing up the Bible? We're talking about the Flying Man.
Because you just said that the guy flying saves people because God says so. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, so what would it take for you to believe in the Flying Man if he said that he was God in flesh or did miracles? He did a miracle, he flew. What?
No, there's got to be a long-standing connection.
How long?
Thousands of years.
Thousands of years. Okay.
Yes.
Did I tell you that the Flying Man took place 1,000 years ago?
No, you said it was what? Your grandfather.
Great. And I just
Okay, that couldn't be 1,000 years. That's impossible.
Okay, so but if it was 1,000 years, then you would believe in the Flying Man?
No, I'm not saying that he had to live thousands of years ago. That it had to be attested to something higher than him. You're saying he's a man.
No, he's okay. He's 100% man, 100% God. God desired to have him fly.
He is God?
Yes.
You believe he's God?
No, I'm asking you if you believe he's God.
No, I don't believe he's God because
either do I.
You don't have. There's what are the sources that connects it to reality?
Texts.
I mean, do you believe the prophecies about Jesus are
okay, Keith,
1,000 years old, 100 years old?
Keith, we're going on 10 minutes now, and I remember I said 10 minutes. But
yes, but you keep adding to the story. You're asking me to believe things.
This is a thought experiment.
Yes, but you keep adding to the thought.
My point is, I'm doing that on purpose because I'm showing you, I'm demonstrating to you that if we take instead of Jesus and we make it a Flying Man and one at a time layer on all those pieces that you talked about, one at a time, you kept on, and I was proud of you because you're the same as me. You said, no, I would not believe it. No, I would not believe it because of the creed. No, wouldn't believe it on 4 prophecies. Wouldn't believe it based on the martyrdom. Wouldn't believe it based on the 4 diaries. And you and I are the same. But when you make the Flying Man Jesus, all of a sudden you believe it. Sorry, I shouldn't put it that way. But
no, what was the connection of the flying guy to the need for salvation?
See, now you're going to pick apart and trying to make it different. Jesus is different than the Flying Man. But I'm just going to say that the Flying Man has his own salvation pathway, just like Jesus did. Jesus was through the atoning on the cross. For the Flying Man, it was the belief in that he flew. God is God. He can set up his own rules. But anyhow, it's been 10 minutes.
Jesus doesn't stand by himself. You cannot have Christianity unless you have a God. And God begins to, how can you have the universe come out of nothing? How can you, Dean Kenyon, he wrote a book called Biological Predestination to prove that language can be included in DNA, be put there by a non-intelligent source.
Hey, Keith,
you look at
Keith, what you're doing now, as I've seen over many, many years of my life, is that towards the end of the conversation, you're taking a handful of spaghetti and you're throwing it against the wall to see what sticks. It's like I'm playing whack-a-mole here. It's like, well, we got so many other different things, and so-and-so wrote a book.
No, you're just the opposite, because you're asking me to take these stories that you're comparing to our belief in Jesus.
Yes.
Excluding the fact that there are great evidences, or maybe not evidences, but good logic that an intelligent being is likely to exist.
Hey, Keith, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. It's been 10 minutes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.